you have any prior knowledge. And also the second thing is that it's not meant to be an advanced Linux course. So it's just an introduction to the world of Linux. And what I'll be touching on basically is to make sure that you are familiar with the basic commands, right? How to create a file, how to create a folder, right from the Linux terminal. And also you should be able to navigate your way around. If you find yourself in a Linux server, you shouldn't feel so lost or at sea if you should one day work with a Linux server. And this is quite relevant, okay, for almost all the programs that we offer here at Get Skills Network. So basically, whether you're going to do web development, you'll be working with servers, right? You'll be hosting your web page or your app on a server somewhere. And you need to know how to get inside the server, how to collaborate with peers, or even working on your project, right? If you're also working in the field of data science, there's a point that you'll be working what we call notebooks. But when you want to move into production, you definitely come in contact with a server. Also, if you are in the cybersecurity world, that one I don't even have to tell you, because one of the popular distributions of Linux that is used in the cybersecurity space is what we call Kali Linux, right? You definitely be using Linux. What else have I left out? I've mentioned data science, web development, cybersecurity, and of course, cloud engineering. So if you also want to work in the cloud, most of the servers that we use for deploying people's services for them in the cloud, they are usually Linux-based machines, right? So I'm going to teach from that perspective, whereby it's all about being hands-on. It's not about so much of theory and the rest. You can do theory, but today is not theory. So that at least when I should open a server and give you access to the server, you feel comfortable and at home on the server. Awesome. Let's get started then. As I said, I promise you very little theory, so I won't bug you so much with the theory of it. So basically, we said this system, right, was developed in the 1970s by a guy named Linus Torvalds. And the reason why we love Linux so much is that it is open source. In the development, when you say something is open source, it basically means that you don't have to pay money before you can gain access to it or start using it. So almost all of us are familiar with working with Windows operating system, right? And that has been our world. We create a folder, step to create a folder, you right click, then you go to new folder, you name the folder, and then you start working with the folder. That is the Windows approach. We call that one the GUI, graphical user interface. And it is fun. It is friendly, more friendly than working with the terminal. With the terminal, you'll just be seeing a dark screen, or what we call black screen. If you've ever opened your command prompt CMD, when you open your CMD, all you see is a dark screen, right? Let me just open one quickly. This is what I mean by CMD. I know some of you are so familiar with the GUI that you've never even tried to open a CMD before or use the CMD. So this is the CMD, right? And Linux servers, when you want to get inside the server, when you want to do something with the server, okay, you'll be working in a dark screen environment like this, like the command prompt on Windows. Okay. So I know that there are flavors of Linux whereby you just have a GUI or graphical user interface, like a Windows machine, right? Whereby you can create a folder, you can move folders around, you can see colorful buttons and what have you. But what I want to introduce you to is not the Ubuntu flavor of Linux, whereby you have that visual interface of colorful interface, but rather strictly moving into the dark terminal. And that is where developers have the power to deploy apps and do more production level stuff, right? Production level stuff. Okay. And as I mentioned, 95 of servers on the cloud or on the internet hosting the apps that we use every day are Linux based, right? So if you want to become an engineer, a real engineer, a real web developer who is working and consulting for companies outside the country. Most of these companies, when you start working with them, they give you access to kindly mute
First
yourself
time.
the meeting. So be a point that I mute everyone. Then when I want you to ask questions, I'll allow you to unmute. Okay, thank you. Let's move on. So when I started working as an engineer, okay, the first thing that the company told me, that is the companies in Canada, they asked me to generate something we call a key pair, and I should send them my public key. We'll get to that later in the course, maybe not today, but another day. And if I didn't know how to operate a Linux server, if I didn't know anything about a Linux environment, I would have looked stupid in that meeting, right? But then I was able to generate the key and I sent them my public key. And through that, they gave me access to their service. And it was a Linux machine. Though I was working as a data scientist for the company, but you are expected to know Linux. So if you are here, you are in the right place. We'll give you all the foundation that you need. And then you realize that Linux is not so scary after all. The dark screens are not scary after all. Okay. And almost all the Android apps you use, they are all hosted on Linux servers, right? And one strong point of using Linux servers is that they are stable. So as I said, many people use Windows all their life and they think, Windows is the best thing. But step into the world of web development, cybersecurity, application development, DevOps, cloud engineering, and everyone who is in this space will tell you, we love Linux more than any other OS or kernel available. So we are going to look at that today. That's bugging too much. Okay, so the kernel is basically at the core of the operating system, right? And we want to deep dive into what the Linux kernel is all about. We won't go too far, but we'll just talk about the shallow part of it. And we can package this kernel in what we call different distributions. The most popular among them is Ubuntu. We also have the Fedora, CentOS, and then the Debian versions. So when you hear all these names, they are all flavors of Linux. They are all basically Linux machines. So working on these servers, sometimes the commands vary by they're very, very small, some small differences, right? Not much. So if you know how to operate a CentOS machine or a CentOS server, learning how to do that for, let's say, Debian or Ubuntu will not be so different. And we'll get to see some of that later in the program. Okay, so now Linux is open source, so we can just go for the raw flavor of Linux, right? And then you can make adjustments to it to suit your company or whatever you want to use it for. Then you can also put your name on it. So the source code is available online. You can get it and then modify it for your own purpose. So we have these big 10 companies. Most of them just take the source code and then they modify it for their specific use case. Okay. And as I mentioned, we are going to focus on the terminal, the dark screen, right? How to create a folder there, how to create a file there. And we will see all of that in today's session. Awesome. Now, one more thing is that I want to make it clear that when you're working with Linux machines, we can see everything or we can view everything as a file, right? Even when you connect your pen drive on your Windows machine, you can see that the pen drive shows when you go to my computer, you see that a disk has been inserted on the machine. In the same way, when it comes to Linux, everything we do, whether it's a disk, whether it's a CD, a drive, everything is viewed as a file. And that is how we basically maneuver or navigate in a Linux system, right? So we just want to talk about some few directories or folders or file systems that we have on the Linux machine. So on the Windows machine, I'll be talking about my document, maybe users. I'll be talking about programs, those kind of folders which contains certain special or unique files. When I come to a Linux machine too, these are some of the files that I'll be talking about. We have the root directory. So the root directory is like the parent of all the files and folders on your Linux machine, right? It can be likened to a Windows My PC. So when you go to My PC, your drive C, within that drive C, you have so many other folders and files there. Some of them are system files, some of them are user files, and what have you. So in Linux, when you just hear root, is the one at the top of the hierarchy. Then we also have the bin, a folder called bin. That's where we have essential commands, or what we call the binary stored. Don't bother yourself memorizing some of these things, okay? I just want you to know the things I want to memorize. I'll package them as a file and I'll share it on the various platforms with you. We also have the XC drive, right? That is where basically we store configuration files. What are configuration files? Don't worry about that for now. We'll get to that later. Then the one that you may be more familiar with is what we call the home. So in the home directory or folder, that is where we store our personal stuff, right? Like your documents, your movies, your files and your folders, your personal stuff. So that's where we store user files. Then we also have one we call the var. So the var, when you start developing and building projects, we have something we call logs. Sometimes whatever is happening inside our application or our app, let's say our app, we want to see what is going on, whether it's working or not working well. And we store those kind of metrics or data in what we call the var folder. And technically we will call that the logs that we are generating from the app, right? So we can go and look at the logs and see whether something was wrong or everything is working fine. So that one, because that kind of data is always changing, is a variable, right? And that's how come we have that name var. So any kind of variable data like logs can be stored in the var. They also have a /tmp. TMP is just for temporary files. Awesome. So that's just an idea. So when you're in a Linux system and you see the bin xc home var temp, don't be so scared. They just have a simple meaning that I've just interpreted right now. Okay, great. So before the meeting, I think I sent out a notice that we should all try and download a software. If you're able to do that, just type yes in the chat for me. It's called Git Bash. If you're able to download Git Bash, just type yes in the chat. Awesome, awesome. Wow. Okay. So for those who have not been able to download Git Bash, okay, let me just quickly open my screen and then we'll try doing that together right now before we start. So just type Git Bash on Chrome if you're using the browser Chrome, and then the very first link you see here, just click on it. So if you click on it, you have this screen popping up. You can hit on the download for Windows button, okay? When you hit on download for Windows button, it will be downloaded. It will be downloaded onto your computer. So I'm just going to give a minute for those who were not able to download it. Just 1 minute. So we all do so quickly and all be on the same page. So I've already downloaded it, right? So if you've downloaded it, you see it in your downloads. Just open your downloads and double click on it and just follow the installation process, right? I can try downloading that again and then go to my downloads. Okay. So there are just about 2 or 3 steps and then you are done downloading that. So just next, 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 next. Just keep on hitting the next. And then we'll wait patiently as it downloads. If you already have this downloaded, you just hold on a little whilst we let others also download. Awesome. So once that is downloaded, hit on your Windows key and type git bash. So when you type git bash, it's going to open up, right? Then you just select and open it up. If you've been able to open it, just type open in the chat. Let me see. Let me move on. Okay, Linda says open. Philson says opened. Now, basically, why are we downloading Git Bash? We are downloading and installing Git Bash because we are using a Windows machine and we want to be able to run Linux commands. Windows machine is different from Linux machine, right? Operating system. But Git Bash gives us that interface whereby you are able to run all your Linux commands successfully, even on a Windows machine. There are so many ways we could have done this, or many interfaces we could have used. But I find this the easiest way to go about learning Linux, right? If you want to start learning Linux right away on your computer, this is like the easiest way. We could have created a server online with any cloud provider and got ourselves a Linux machine or a Linux server, right? But currently, I'm not doing that. I just want you to use your own Windows machine where we could run our simple Linux commands. So if you're able to open a Git Bash application, this is what you have here. You see an interface like this. You see an interface like this. And it tries to open the Git Bash at the root of where it finds on your PC, right? And on my PC, I have main gate 64. But let's not bother about so much what that means, right? Okay. Yeah, if you've already installed, you can join us now. You can just join us now. We are now about to begin with the hands-on. So as I mentioned, all that I'm trying to show you today is how to work with the server, a Linux server. I mean, just do the intro, right? So that when we start building our applications and we are maneuvering in on a Linux server, you wouldn't feel lost or at sea. Okay, good. I think we are all on the same page now. Awesome. So we are going to start with our very first command, right? And that one is a who am I? Just type who am I? And whatever name you've given to your PC, okay, you should be able to see that username appear on the screen. So that's the who am I. Awesome. So wherever you get onto a server, you'll be able to find or bring up the username of that server, right? With just a who am I command. So my PC, this particular user I'm logged into is called, I've named it with my own name, Shadrach. Okay, so whatever name you have on your PC, that name will pop up. Great. Can you all see my screen? Someone says they can't see my screen. Is my screen visible? If it's visible, please type yes for me. If my screen is visible, just type yes. Yeah, I think others can see my screen. So too small. Oh, that's what you mean. Let me maximize it. So I'll maximize it and I'll shift it to the left side, right? I'll hit on my Windows button and then the right arrow. So basically I'll split my screen into two. Then let me increase the font size a little. Is this better? Awesome, awesome, awesome. So I'm assuming I'm on a Linux server right now. Great. Great. Okay. Now, we always love to know where we are or where we find ourselves on the server, right? So who am I has given us the username. Now, how do I know where I am on the server currently? Which file am I in, or which directory or which folder am I in on this server? I'll just type a PWD, which means present working directory. Present working directory. As I mentioned, don't memorize any of these things. When the class is done, I'll share the files with you on your various platforms. I mean the notes, yeah. So when I hit enter, then what comes out is what we call a path, okay? So the path shows exactly where I find myself currently on this server or on this computer. So it's telling me from the squad I see on the screen that I'm in the C drive. And inside the C drive, I'm inside the users, also a directory or folder, right? And inside the users folder, I'm inside another folder called Dell. I'm on the folder, inside the folder called Dell. So that's my current location. Good. Now, I want to look around. I want to look around me, right? How do you look around and see what you have currently or present in where you find yourself? Now, in Linux, our eyes, we call it the LS, right? LS, just L and a S, all lowercase. So when I type an LS, it's going to show me everything in my surrounding. So LS, and I hit enter. Now, these are all the files and folders I have in my current environment in this part. C, users Dell. That's what I find there, right? So in the C drive in users in Dell, I have a directory called 3D objects, app data, Cisco packet tracer, and what have you. Now we can easily verify this on our Windows machine, right? You just open your file system. Let me open that one on the left. And I go to local disk C because it says I'm on the C drive. And I look for users, right? So I'm doing the Linux on the right and I want to look at the Windows on the left. Whether I can still see all the things the Linux command has shown me. So let's look for users. In the C drive, you're looking for users, right? And that's users down there, this one. So I open users, and then I am inside where? Dell. So let me open the Dell also. Okay, now these are all the items I see here. Let's see whether we can find any of these things. So there's one called Cisco packet tracer. So I'll just click here and type C and hit on C. So do you see the Cisco packet tracer here? Do you all see that? So what I'm basically doing is that I'm using Linux commands to interact with my Windows computer. If you can all see that, just type yes in the chat for me. Okay. Great, 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 great. You're all becoming Linux masters. I think at the end of the day, I'll pronounce all of you Linux masters. Okay. Inshira wants us to quickly review what we've just said. So all that we've done so far, we've not done much. Just 2 commands or 3 commands, right? Now, when you are working and you want to clear your screen, it's beginning to look messy, right? I want to clear it. I'll just type a CLEAR, the word clear. And I hit on enter, and I've just cleared the whole screen. So I'm going to do all that I've done over again. So I want to find the current username of the computer. That is the who am I. Hit enter. Shadrach, voila. Next command. Where do I find myself right now? I've just gone inside the server. Where am I? How do you find that? PWD, present working directory. I hit enter, and it gives me a path. This is what we call a path to where I find myself. I'm in the C drive in the users directory or folder, and inside there, I am inside the Dell folder. What are some of the things in my environment? I just type ls. ls gives me a list of stuff around where I find myself, right? Means all of the ones in blue are the folders. The ones in white are files. So it means I have folders called telecom, report, parameter, etc., etc. And now the white ones are the files, basically. So these are the two commands we've seen. Now, what I want to do basically is that let me now move from this messy place. I think it's looking all messy. So I want to move away from this messy place, okay? So I just clear my screen. Then why not move to desktop? I want to go to desktop. So in Linux, if you want to move from one place to another place, as I mentioned, everything is a directory. Everything is like a folder in Linux. So moving from one location to another place just means I want to move from one directory to another directory. So the command is cd, where cd simply means change directory, right? Cd simply means change directory. So I want to cd into desktop. I want to change my directory and come to desktop. Desktop is what you see here, right? This is what we call desktop. And in Linux, remember, always remember, in Linux, everything is a folder. So the desktop is also a folder. So I can enter the desktop. Okay, so cd desktop and I hit enter. Right now, I'm on my desktop. And it can even be seen because the name desktop has been appended over here. How many of you believe I'm on the desktop right now? If you believe, type yes. Then I'll prove it to you. If you don't believe I'm on desktop, just type no. If you believe, just type yes. Okay, Philson says he doesn't believe. So I'll prove. Margaret also doesn't believe. Okay. Awesome, awesome. Great. So let me prove it to you that I am truly on the desktop. Now let's look at some of the names of the folders we have here. These folders are looking too tiny. Let me see if I can increase their size. Large icons. They become too big. But I think, okay, let's just go with the medium one. So this one is too big. So you have to strain your eye a little for me, okay? At least you see a folder here called Linux folder, right? You see this folder here. So let's find out. So right now, if I'm on desktop, I want to look in my environment. Who can tell me the command to use? What are our eyes on a Linux server? Awesome. You guys are good. So it's just ls. That is our eyes, right? So I hit on ls, enter. And I have a lot of folders. So it's taking some time before it can list them. But among all of these folders, I just need to find this one. Do you see it is here? Linux folder. It is here. It is here. So I'm truly on the desktop. Because when I did an ls to look around me, I'm still seeing this Linux folder here. Here, being listed here. Right? See, I got too many things on my desktop. So what I'm going to do is that this has so many stuff which looks messy, right? So let's just create a clean folder and then enter that folder. How do we create a folder in Linux? It's a very simple command. Everything is a directory. So if you want to make a directory, the command is actually make directory. So it's mkdir. This means make a directory or make a folder. So I'm on a desktop and I'm making a folder using the command make directory, mkdir. And the directory, I want to name it GSN, no, Linux day one. Linux day one. And I hit enter. I hit enter. So this folder is supposed to be created, right? Okay. And here it is. I'm using double screen, so sorry for that. It went onto the other screen. So let me pull it here for you to see. Okay. So there's it. Linux day one is created here. Awesome. Now, I want to go inside the Linux day one. What command should I use? I'll use a change directory command, right? What is cd? Cd. So I'm on the desktop and I have a folder called Linux day one here, right? And I want to go inside that folder. How do we move around in Linux? We use the cd, change directory. So I'm going to cd into Linux day one. Linux day one, and I hit enter. Why not open Linux day one on the left so that we can see what is going on inside that folder? So I'm opening Linux day one. So this is Linux day one. Split screen. So that will take our left, and then my terminal is on the right. Awesome. So I'm inside Linux day one right now. Let me do ls. Ls, I get nothing because obviously there's nothing inside that folder, right? So why don't we just create a folder inside this Linux day one? And what is the command? mkdir, make directory. Directory is another name for folder, right? So I want to make a directory. So mkdir, let me call that folder. I have elechem here, elechem, and I hit enter. Do you see it has been created here? Okay, so someone is asking about this backslash. So the backslash, whether it's present or not, you can still cd into the folder, right? But sometimes I use an auto completion. I just hit the tab key and the Linux terminal itself tries to complete the name for me and it adds the backslash. So usually backslashes are attached to folder names. So whether that is there or not, you can still cd. So don't worry so much about that. Okay, thanks for that question. So mkdir elechem, and you see the folder called elechem has been created. What about if I want to create more than one folder at a time? Let's try that. So mkdir, which people do I have here? I have Linda. So Linda, then I have Frimpong. Frimpong. Okay, awesome. So these are random names I've picked. So mkdir, I'm creating two folders, one called Linda, one called Frimpong, and I hit enter. Do you all see what happened on the left? Those folders have been created. Okay. Let me try creating two more. Then I'll attend to some of the questions coming in the chat. So mkdir, I have Selassie, right? Then who else? This name, I can't pronounce it. Is it Nourish? I hope I'm right. Nourish. And then I'm trying to create three of them. Let me see. I have Margaret. Margaret. I hit enter. And then all the folders are created for me. Okay. So do you see I didn't do right click and I'm going to select new folder. I'll type the name of the folder. In Linux, it is so easy, right? So the terminal is not difficult after all. If you agree, just type agree. At least you can create a folder using the terminal. So if you agree, just type agree. So some of you always think when you see someone working with the terminal, you're like, oh, what is this guy doing? This guy has to be an IT expert. Trust me, the terminal is even easier to use than the GUI, what we call the graphical user interface. Okay, awesome. Okay, we've created folders. Right now, I want to delete the folders I've created, right? And the command to delete a folder, which is empty, is rmdir, remove directory. The names are so intuitive, don't you think so? mkdir, make directory, rmdir, remove directory. Who should I remove first? Let me remove Frimpong. Frimpong, I like you, but I want to remove you first. So I remove Frimpong, and Frimpong is gone. Who else do I eliminate? I'm going to take out Linda, else the guys will say I'm being biased. So Linda is also gone. Then not gone in real life, or this is just gone inside my folder. Okay, then we have Margaret, right? And they are all going. Awesome, awesome. Great. So this is how easy Linux is, right? We created a folder with mkdir. We delete an empty folder with rmdir. I hope you're all good. Awesome. So, because obviously when you get inside the server, you may want to start a project, right? And you want to create a folder for your project. So there's something that we do almost every time we're on the server, creating a folder, deleting a folder, and the next thing is creating a file and then deleting a file. Okay, Nourish is saying come again. What do you mean by come again? Is there something you don't understand or something you want me to repeat? Okay, the screen is looking messy, right? Do you remember how to clean the screen? You just type clear and then hit enter. And the screen looks neat, very, very neat and beautiful. Now, what about if I want to check all the commands? Right now, I'm not even calling them codes, but I just call them commands I've used so far. I can just type history, right? History. And I'll hit enter. And all the commands I've typed so far, they come here. So I started with the who am I? Then I went to pwd. So who am I to get the username of your current server, right? pwd to find out my current location, present working directory. ls, those are my eyes, right? To look around my environment to see what I have there. Clear, obviously, to make my screen cleared of all the mess, right? Then I introduce the cd command. CD is to help you change directory. C means change, the D means directory. So I changed my directory into the desktop and I created a folder there, right? So CD, then mkdir for creating a folder, which is also called directory. Then rmdir to remove an empty folder. Then the last one I just spoke about is history, a command called history. Let me clear my screen. Awesome. Are we good? If we are good, just type sweet in the chat. I want to see the word sweet and I move on. Awesome, awesome. LS, that's just your eyes, right? The one asking about LS. LS is our eyes. That enables us to see around where we are. Okay, okay, awesome, awesome. Great, you guys are great. You guys are great. Okay, so currently I have 3 people there who are still like the last men standing. What about if I want to delete 3 folders at a go? The same way I could create 3 folders at a go. Why not try doing the same thing? And then Selassie, hit enter. And voila, they are all gone. Joseph, add a little sugar. It becomes sweet, okay? Okay, great. Now we've created a file. Sorry, we created a folder, right? And right now we're going to learn how to create a file, okay? So we are still inside, let me do pwd, present working directory, and I hit enter. And the part that I'm seeing here, I am inside the C, inside users, inside the Dell, inside the desktop, inside the Linux day 1. Okay. Awesome. Now, let's create a file. How do you create a file? In Linux, you want to create a file. The command is called touch. 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 So this the powerful command you use to create any kind of file you want to create. When I say any, I mean any. So I'm going to create like 4 or 5 different kind of files. So let's create an MP4 file. Can we do that from the terminal? How many of you think I can create an MP4 file from the terminal? Do you guys want to see me do that? I want to create an MP4 file on the terminal. If you want to see me doing that, just type C, not yes, C, type C. Okay. Those who are following the instructions I'm giving, I'm going to give someone a reward at the end of the day. Okay, okay. Good. And trust me, this is not any magic. It is as simple as touch c.mp4. That's all I'm done. All you have to do is just provide the extension of the file type you want to create, right? And we know file extensions. .mp4 is for mp4. .doc is for a Word document, right? .xlsx is for an Excel or a spreadsheet. And .txt is for a text file. We have several types, right? .json, we have a JSON file. You can have a parquet file, etc., etc. So right now, let me hit enter. Let's see. So you put your eyes here. Let your eyes be here. And I hit enter. What do you see here? Has the file been created? Yes or no? Do you see the file has been created here? Awesome. Let me create a Word file. So touch maybe file.doc, right? And it creates a Word file. Touch, let me say pics.jpg, right? And it creates a picture file. But again, what other extensions do you guys know? Touch notes.txt, and it creates a text file. So any kind of file you, yeah, I'll get you the recording, don't worry. I in the class, we'll share the recording. So touch notes.txt, and you can see that we have created a txt file. Someone wants to try PPT, don't worry, let me try it for you. Touch slide, let me just call it slides.ppt. And you see, it has created a file over there. Awesome, right? Linux is cool. Excel file, right? So touch sheet.xlsx. And voila, the spreadsheet is created. Great. So trust me, Linux is cool. Linux is fun. You have to love Linux. Can you create an executable file? Let's try that. Touch power.exe. And voila, it is there. So do you see? Now I know, now the one asking me about executable files. I hope you are not thinking of anything dangerous. This is where my cybersecurity guys begin to do dangerous stuff. So let me just end there. Okay. Okay. Can we continue? Let's move. Let me clear my screen. It's looking messy. Awesome. Now that we've been able to create files, the next thing I want to do quickly is for us to be able to not just create a file, but at least write something to the file. We are not going to do any sophisticated writing. We just take a normal text file and then we'll write text into the file. Okay. Now I have these files and let me try and delete some of them. So the command to delete is just rm, remove. So let me delete the file doc.doc. I hit enter. It's gone, right? Rm, let me see, c.mp4. It's also gone, right? Let me delete what again? The slides. Rm. But if I want to delete more than one thing, just like before, I can provide the names, right? By just spacing them out. And I hit enter and they are all gone. Cool. I hope it's cool. And finally, I'll just move the last one, the power. Okay, awesome. Great. So right now we have only one file left called notes.txt. Let me actually open this file. It's supposed to be empty, right? Because we've not yet written anything to that file. So double click. Okay. Let me pull it here. It opened on another screen. So this is our notes.txt. And it's an empty file. because when we created it, we didn't write anything to it. Is it possible to add different file extensions to get one particular result inside the file? I'm trying to understand your question. Please, can you reframe that question? Okay, let's continue. So let's look at what is inside the file. So right now, let me do ls. ls is saying that the only thing I have in this folder is the notes.txt, because I am inside this folder called Linux Day 1. And when I do an ls, the only thing I'm seeing with my eyes in Linux terminal is notes.txt. Now there's a command that helps us to know the content of a file in the terminal without even opening the file. And that command is a cat, cat for cat, right? So you see, Linux commands have very, very funny names. So cat, and then you provide the name of the file, which is what? Notes.txt. So I hit enter, and then what do you see? Nothing. Now there's something I wanted to mention before even coming here. On a Linux machine, there's nothing like recycle bin. Let me just make that one clear. So what does that mean? If you delete a file or you delete a folder, it is gone and gone for good. There's nothing like, you see, on Windows, when you delete something for the first time, it goes to the recycle bin. On a Linux machine, don't try that. Once you delete it, it's gone and gone for good. Okay, let's roll. So I did a cut on the notes.txt and I see nothing inside it, right? So I really want to write something to that file. And there's a command which is able to spit out text. Okay. Anywhere you wanted to spit out the text, it will spit out the text. If you want to spit out the text on the screen, just call that command and give it a text. It will spit it out on the screen for you. And that command is called the echo command. Echo, right? So echo Linux is fun. Okay. This is just simple. So right now, because I've not told it where to spit it out to, it's just going to spit this thing out onto the screen for us. So I hit enter and it just says the same thing again. It just echoes it again, right? You know what an echo is? You say something and then it keeps on repeating or whatever. So when you echo something in a Linux terminal like this, it just repeats the same thing to you. So echo Linux is fun, and it's also saying Linux is fun. Let's try something else. Echo, I love Linux, right? You have to love Linux, whether you like it or not. I hit enter. It just echoes the command again. I love Linux. Okay. Now, I want to echo, this time not onto the console, but I want to echo into the empty notes.txt. So let me bring it up again. So this is the notes.txt I've opened on the left. And I'm going to use echo to write to this file. There are several ways of writing to files. Yeah, cut is just to view the content of a file. That's what it means. You want to view the content of a file. Okay. So echo, this is my first write. And so echo this into. So that symbol you see there, I am directing where it should go to, right? That symbol. That looks like a greater than symbol. I'm using it to turn or direct that text into notes.txt. So echo this into notes.txt. So this notes.txt currently is empty, but I'm going to hit enter. And when I hit enter, I expect the echo to spit the text into the file for me. What is happening here? Okay, it has written it. Good. Then there was a small glitch on my computer. So echo, this is my first write into notes.txt. And what do you see here? It has written the text into the notes.txt for us. Beautiful. This is beautiful. I want to echo something else again. So echo this amazing, right? It should echo this into what? Notes.txt for me. So echo this amazing, this amazing. And you can see it has been written here, this amazing. This amazing. Sometimes there's a delay on your computer. So if it's delaying the writing or it's not showing, just click on the notepad, it will just show it up. It will show it up. Sometimes when you are writing, it doesn't show it in real time. But when you just hit on the notepad interface, it will show it up. Awesome. So Lassie said I did it. Cool. This is day one, right? I wanted it to just 1 hour. I don't want to go beyond 1 hour today. So in 5 more minutes, whenever we reach, I'll pause for today. Then Friday, we'll continue the session on Linux. So this is just the fundamentals, right? The basics. Great. Now, something happened, and now I don't know whether I took note of it. When I wrote, exactly, thank you for asking that question. One break day. So the single greater than symbol, okay, it is an overwriting command. It overwrites every other previous write. So when you are using this command, to be very, very careful, because if there is something in the file and you just wanted to add some extra text to the file and you use the single symbol, okay, it's going to overwrite everything that you had previously. So how do we solve that problem? We just use it a double of that. And that one would append and not overwrite. This will just be added. So I have this string here and I'm using a double direction symbol. I'm redirecting it into what? The notes.txt. I hit enter, and then what do I get? This time around, it did not overwrite the previous one, right? But it was just added as a new line. Once break day. Do you see the difference between those two commands? So a single one will overwrite, a double will not overwrite, but it will just append to the content of the file. Awesome. My screen is getting messy again. Unfortunately, I've not come across any undo in Linux. As I said, when you're in a Linux server, sometimes that's why you see when you're on a Linux, when you join a company and they give you access to their Linux server, they attach what we call permissions onto whichever user is giving access, right? So sometimes the permissions that you are giving, you are not allowed to delete anything. Because let's say you're a new guy, you just joined the company. When they give you access to a server, they may remove delete from your delete authorization from your access, right? So that when you even try to delete any folder, you cannot delete. When you try to delete a file, you cannot delete it. So that's what they usually do in companies. When you're a new guy, you just came on board, you'll be restricted in what you can do on the server. Maybe they can allow you to read and create files, but they will not allow you to delete in case you accidentally go and delete a production code. Okay. Yeah, I think I've answered this question already. Can you retrieve something you mistakenly delete? On Linux, there's nothing like mistake delete. If you delete, it's gone and gone forever. So make sure that you don't accidentally delete anything. It's as simple as that. Okay. Unless you are a cyber forensic guy who knows how to retrieve data. Okay. So now let's see. I mentioned the cat, right? It enables us to see what is inside a particular file. So let's do a cat notes.txt. And then it shows us the content without actually trying to open it with an application or anything. It just shows you that these are the two lines you have inside your file. This is amazing. And this will just be added. Awesome. Awesome. Great. So right now, let's look at one more thing and then we'll bring today's session to an end. So mkdir finished. So I'm creating a file, a folder called finished. And right now, let me try and move this file into this folder. Okay. Now the command to move is mv. Very, very simple. Mv for move. So I'm moving the notes.txt into what? Finished. And I hit enter. And voila. The notes.txt has been moved into what? Finished. Right? Okay. And I try to look at what is inside finished. I told that on a Linux server, your eyes are the ls, right? ls is our eye. So I did an ls finished with the backslash. I'm trying to use the ls to look inside finished. And when I looked inside finished, I see that there is something inside called notes.txt. So this is also possible. I can also do a cut, finished, and then notes.txt. Now I'm saying cut, show me what is inside this part. So over here, I've provided a path to the file. So now the file is inside finished. So finished, go inside finished with the backslash and go and look inside the file called notes.txt. So when I do a cut by providing it with a path, whatever file is at the end of that path, it will go and show me the content of the file. I hope that also makes sense. Awesome. So these are the commands that we have for today. I think we've started about 1 hour now. So Friday, we'll do some more exciting stuff, right? So Friday, we'll look at how to do some more navigation. Then we also look at how to write scripts in Linux, right? How to write scripts. So we'll do an intro to scripting in Linux. So scripting is just a way of putting together many of these commands in one file, so that when you run that single file, all the commands will actually be run line after line. And scripting is such a powerful thing when we start application development or working on the cloud or engineering certain solutions. So more often than not, we don't write the commands one after the other like this. I may write a script that creates a folder, goes inside the folder, create a file, write certain things to the file, then move that file to another position on the server, then do so many other things. Then I can even automate the creation or the fetching or, let's say, updating of a database, all with a script, right? So scripting is a very wonderful concept whereby we learn how to put all these commands inside just one file. So when we run that single file, all the commands will automatically run for us. And we use that one to automate so many things. Whether you are doing cloud engineering, you are doing cybersecurity, you are doing web development, we use scripts to automate certain processes, okay? Especially our workloads that we do, we use almost every day. So we'll have an introduction to scripting on Friday. So make sure you don't miss that session. Awesome. So I'm going to pause the recording here or allow just for 5 minutes, right? If you have any questions you want to ask me, then you can unmute yourself and then ask your question. So right now I've allowed you to unmute. You can unmute yourself. If you have any questions for me, you can unmute and then ask me directly. I think at the beginning of the lesson, I introduced myself, right? I'm Shadrach Darko, okay? And I'm the head of the cloud engineering department at Gear Skills Network. And my expertise cuts across data science, DevOps, DevSecOps, cybersecurity, and AI engineering, right? Great. If you have any question, you can ask me, whether it's about our data science program, whether it's about our DevOps, our cloud engineering program, our cybersecurity or our web development, you can ask me. And also we've shared the book, the seat booking link, right? So if you want to reserve a seat for the upcoming program, which begins on the 6th of October, make sure that you click on that link and then book your seat. With just 100 CDs, you are able to book a seat for the upcoming cohort. And trust me, all our lessons are very, very interactive and fun. We actually take our time to take you through the stuff very, very, very well, so you don't miss anything. And we don't leave anyone behind. So this is just a demo session, right, that we are having. This is a free course that we are running. But in our live class, we offer support even after classes. You can reach out to the lecturers or the mentors and the tutors after class. If you don't understand anything, they can help you set up a one-on-one call with you and clarify stuff with you, right?
Hello,
So that's
sir.
yeah, go ahead.
Sir, please, what's the difference between cat and MV?
And envy. So the envy is to move, right? Is to move a folder or a file, right? Yeah. So envy, move. So on Friday, we'll
So what
continue.
about cat?
I will just go over all of these things again on Friday, and I'll add one more. So if you don't want to move, you may want to copy, right? And that's a CP. So we'll learn how to move. We'll do more work with this, moving, copying, listing, and stuff like that. We'll just take some, maybe one or two practical exercises and do that. Hope you're
So,
good. Yes, Lassie.
when I was doing that thing, they were giving me a notification of there is too many arguments, something like that. I don't understand.
Okay, I'll look at that. Let me take all the questions and I'll let you share your screen and I'll look at that. Maybe your operating system is not friendly to the Git bash, but I'll look at that. Any other questions for me?
Good evening, sir.
Evening, one break day. Your
Sir,
name?
blessing.
Okay, blessing.
Sir, please, I wanted to know. So all these we are learning, we are integrating them to become an app, or
Okay, so Linux is to learn how to work with servers, right? And the server is where, after you build your app, you move your app to the server so that the whole world can have access to the app. And sometimes when you're working with a company, they have their infrastructure. When I say infrastructure, the kind of things you need to be able to build your app is on the server, and the server is a Linux server. So how do you even go inside the server, right? How do you even move around the server to find where they have even stored their project files? So I think yesterday, one of my engineers, okay, I consult for a certain company that's in Ghana here, and I'm the one who manages all their server and cloud infrastructure. So a new web developer joined the team, and he needed access to the servers, right? So I had to go in there to grant him certain permissions or right to use the servers. Now, when you are a web developer, you enter the server, maybe the development team have a particular place on the server that they have all the codes for the app. So if you don't know Linux, how to maneuver your way around in a Linux server, you'll be lost. You are very good in programming and everything, all right, but you don't know how to work on a server with a team. You get it? So this is just an intro to just make you see that servers or Linux is not scary. You can enter any server, you can move around, you can change directory, you can create a file, you can create a folder, you can view the content of a file, just to make you comfortable with working with servers. I hope it's clear.
yes, please.
Yeah. And if you're a cybersecurity guy too, you're working, most of your work or most of the things you'll be doing, you'll be using something called Kali Linux. And this is the kind of interface you'll be seeing every day, whole day, right? And we'll get there. We'll get there. So to us, it is relevant, you know, a little about Linux before you even take any of our other courses. Just a little, not too much, just a little. So I'll teach you Linux. I'll be the same person to also introduce you to Git and GitHub. It's also a relevant skill now for all the domains that we teach, right? Then we'll do a little Python, not too much, just a little intro. I may be the one to take it, or one of our data scientists will also take that course. So we are doing Linux, we are doing GitHub and Git and GitHub. Then we are doing a little Python. Then we may add, I may do a little cyber with you guys, a little, maybe just creating a key pair and utilizing a key pair to access a server. That's just something that's also relevant in almost all the spaces, right? It's also something that has to do with Linux and also cybersecurity. So I'll teach you that also. So we have about 5 meetings and it's going to be fun, trust me. So make sure you don't miss the subsequent meetings. Any other question? Okay. So